Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing today? Welcome to another episode of Barefoot Conversation with Magdalene. How have you been? It's another week. It just goes so quickly. I'm telling you, it literally feels as if it was just yesterday that I was on. And now another week has gone. How are things going on with you? I hope you are achieving those goals you set out. How is work for those of you who are at work and those at school? Whatever it is you're doing, how are things going with you? And not only that, can you imagine April's coming to an end? Where's the time going? I don't understand. Where is the time going? On Sunday is going to be, that's it. The 30th, April comes to an end. Wow. 4 months is gone already. Wow. Well, what can I say? It's just for us to ensure we're making good use of the time that we have, because time is flying by, so just make good use of your time. Okay, so it's another episode of Barefoot Conversations with Magdalene. Who is Magdalene? Magdalene is a transformation expert, and Magdalene runs two businesses. My first business is called Music Relief Foundation, where we work with young people to unleash their creative spirit in order for them to build confidence and self-esteem. I am also the CEO and founder of Magdalene at an IK, where I coach women who are struggling to find their purpose in life. So we're coaching them, helping them to identify, to connect or reconnect with their purpose in life in order for them to live a purpose-filled life. So on today's show is it's not, I won't say a heavy one. I won't say the other ones has been light, but it's a really good show today. And it's about juvenile delinquency, juvenile delinquency that is beyond parental control. Juvenile delinquency that is beyond parental control. So as a parent, I'm a parent. And for those of you listeners out there, those of you who are parents, what kind of thoughts will be going through in your head when you hear this topic? Juvenile delinquency beyond parental control. So in my time whilst I was doing my research, as I would normally do, I said, okay, first thing first, let me find out what juvenile delinquency means. We may know these things, but it's good to just kind of get the right wording. So I'm going to just read it out for us quickly. Juvenile delinquency, according to the dictionary definition, says it's the habitual committing of criminal acts or offenses by a young person, especially one below the age at which ordinary criminal prosecution is not possible. Habitual, so that's continuous. Committing of criminal acts of all offenses by a young person. That is very scary. So you've got the habitual, just always ongoing, is a continuous thing, is a regular occurrence, and then young person. Those two things should not be linked together. It should not be linked together, but unfortunately, this is what we see. Because it says, especially one below the age at which ordinary criminal prosecution is possible. Oh, what can I say? What can I say when I hear such statement? Because my heart just goes out. I'm like, for a young person, your life, you have your whole life ahead of you. Why would you want to go down that route of criminal activities? Where will it take you? How are you so depressed or frustrated and fed up with life, and going down the criminal route is the only way? So let me just read out the questions I put out there. I said, because I was just thinking about this whole thing, I said, what are the causes of juvenile delinquencies? What are experts saying about this? Is it fair to brand all youths with the same yardstick? What more can we do to support the youths? This is a very touching topic to me, because when you talk about young people, especially in one of my businesses, Music Relief Foundation, it's painful to hear that young people are out there committing heinous crimes. I'm not saying one is better than the other, so let me not just go down there, but young people are committing crimes that are detrimental to society and individual, whether young or old. What goes through the mind of the young person? Where did it all start from? What happened? What went wrong? What went wrong? I think that's the first thing we need to ask ourselves. What went wrong? So my listeners, engage with me. What went wrong? when you hear this, when you see young people, I remember I had to go to court, a youth court for the first time in my life. I went there last year, August. And as I was sat there, got there quite early, and I was sat there waiting. And I saw all these young people, because obviously it's a youth court, all these young people trooping in. Some were quiet and some just didn't care. They were just, there was no remorse at all for whatever crime they had committed. And you had one particular guy, he was just there talking, and I think his name, I can't remember his name, but he was 13. He didn't look his age, but he was 13. And in my head, I'm like, 13? Wow. But this child was 13, and he was talking to another young boy. Again, now, quite small, but then they don't look their ages. So that one could be 13, he could be younger or could be older, but I don't know, but his stature is quite small. And he was saying to that boy, he was asking, because I think they know themselves, he was asking the boy what he was in there for, what did he do? And the boy was telling him. And the other guy, the other 13-year-old boy was like, oh, don't worry, when you go in, you say this, you do this, and they're just going to let you up. So I was sat there just thinking like, wow. So at 13, you already know the ins and outs of how to deal with the courts, what to say and what not to say at 13. That child, because he is a child, give that child another 10 years when he's 23. Will he still be with us? Will he be 6 foot under? Will he be locked up? Because he won't be classed as a juvenile anymore. He's going to be classed as an adult, and they're going to judge his case as an adult and put him in an adult prison. So for me, it's like, wait, what's happening to our young people? What is going on? What happened? What went wrong? Where did it all go wrong? So all of these things are just going through my head with pain and a heavy heart. And I'm thinking, how is this possible? Why? What are we doing? I know there's so much things there. Hence the reason I started my organization, not that because of criminal activities, but mine was because of my personal background of teen pregnancy. But it could have easily gone down that route if I did not have the support that I later on had when things turned around for me. So, but then, if I didn't get that support and things were happening the way it was happening, and people come to me, maybe might have been the wrong people, telling me they were going to give me support, but obviously it's, I do this for you, you have to do this. And then it can easily, I could have easily gone down that route. So I'm not trying to sit here and be judgmental and put on a righteous hat. No, because I understand. I fully understand that I could have easily gone that route. But then I'm thankful to God and to my family, especially my mom, who eventually turned around and she just kind of turned everything around for me, and I began to get the help that I so desperately needed. So what about others out there who may be similar situation like me or not, but they don't have that support? What do we do? So I'm just talking, this is research that I've done and various things that are coming into my head, and I just have to voice it out, because as I'm talking to you guys, I'm talking to myself, and I'm just like, my heart is heavy. That's the thing. And then in the process of research, because I'm asking all these questions, I'm asking a question. I said, is it fair to brand all the young people, all the youths out there with the same yardstick? But before I answer that question, let's go back to the first question I asked is, where did it all go wrong? What happened? So in the process of researching, I came across something, an article that I find very useful, but I don't know how useful it is for those parents who are having to deal with juvenile delinquencies from their young people, because the topic of today is juvenile delinquencies that is beyond parental control. That is beyond parental control. So that means that the parents would have done all they possibly can to help their child, but it did not seem to work, and the child keeps offending. Remember what I talked about when I gave the definition of what juvenile delinquency means, which is the habitual committing of criminal acts or offenses by a young person, especially one below the age at which ordinary criminal prosecution is not possible. Let me just read a few lines from this. It says, parenting a teenager is never easy, but when your teen is violent, depressed, abusing alcohol or drugs, or engaging in other reckless activity and other reckless behaviors, it can seem overwhelming. You may feel exhausted from lying awake at night, worrying about where your child is, who he or she is with, and what they are doing. You may despair over failed attempts to communicate, the endless fight, and the open defiance. Let me pause there. Juvenile delinquency that is beyond parental control. So it's one thing to parent teenagers, but then it's another thing to parent teenagers that are not cooperating with the parents. And then if that parent now, that father, that mother, their other siblings who are probably younger, what do they do? And then if you put it in the setting of single parentage, what does that father or mother do when they have the older child who is a teen, who is always in trouble with the law, and that parent is trying his or her best to deal with that child, but then they also have to take care of the younger children? What do they do at that time? What help, what support is there? I know there's so much support and help, but that parent that is going through it at that time, do they feel that they get the support? Are they getting any support? Outside of calling the police, and you can imagine calling the police on your own child, wow. Outside of them having to call the police because of fear of their own safety and that of their other children, what else can we do? They can reach out to organizations like myself and other youth-based organizations out there. But are we forthcoming? So I'm asking myself that question. Are we forthcoming? I can say for Music Relief, we are forthcoming because we're using the arts to try to get these young people to turn away from that route. But the thing is, we are not coming in to stop it because it's twofold. We're coming in most of the time. Let me put it this way. We're coming in most of the time when they've already gone down that route already. So we're trying to bring them out. And so we do get a few who have not gone down that route, which is fantastic. But is that not the same thing with most other youth organizations who come in when the child is already down that route? What can be done? There was a video that we posted, that we uploaded on YouTube, Music Relief, and it showed a gang lord. I don't know how to class it, but he was being interviewed. It was set by a war being interviewed, and there was one particular sentence that he made that really struck a chord with me. Everything he said was horrifying, but this particular sentence really struck a chord with me. And he said, you can do all the motivational talks you want to do. You can have all the motivational activities you want to do to try to engage these young people. But he said, people like myself who are outside will always get the youngins. That was the word he used, the youngins, the young people. He said, because of the fact that all we need to do is show them the money. And the young people see that instead of having to kill themselves doing so long hours for very limited money, they just have to do few things and they get big money. And so you just imagine a young person who's not been exposed to money, all of a sudden they're exposed to thousands of pounds. For them, so 1,000 pounds become a big luxury for them, and they know that if all they need to do is continue to go down that life of crime, and they will be getting this money on a regular basis. That's such a big enticement. They would definitely jump into it. Original question: what went wrong? How did that young person that the mother gave birth to, that baby that would cry in the middle of the night, and you would get up to change the nappy, and you will nurse that baby to make sure that baby is fed and is clothed and is warm, and just to ensure that the baby is fine. And you take all the pictures of when the baby first started walking and start talking, all those things that you do as a parent with your child when you're younger. How did we come from that state of innocence to become a terror, a menace to society? It says, or you may live in fear of your teen's violent mood swings and explosive anger. So you now, the parent, who was in a sense the protector, to protect your child. So your child can be running up and down, but he or she knows that all they need to do is to look back and know that mommy and daddy is there. They're safe. So you take them to the park and they're on the swings and everything. So mommy and daddy could be sitting on a bench somewhere and the child is running up and down in the park. So all they need to do is just look back and catches the eye on mommy and daddy, and he or she is safe, and they just continue playing because they know that, yes, that person, that adult there, that mommy, daddy is there to ensure that no harm comes to me. So that same parent has been there for that child. Now that the table has turned, but not in a good way. Now that parent now is now living in fear of his or her own child. How is that possible? Oh gosh, I don't know. This topic. We can tackle this topic in so many different angles, and I don't know if we will ever get a final concrete result, because we have different things that we put in place that we want to ensure that we take these young people off the street, that we take these young people off the negative route into something positive, so that they understand that they have a life, they have a future, and they need to begin to prepare for that future now. So that's what youth organizations like Music Relief is doing. But my question now to Music Relief and to other youth organizations, are we doing enough? Do we need to do much more? Because if you have this gangland saying on the streets that, you know what, you guys can do whatever you want to do, but when we want to get these youngins, we will still get them. That for me is a very scary statement as a parent, as a youth organization owner, and as an individual as a whole, because you don't have to be a parent to that particular child to live in fear. Because if that child is out on the streets and they're in a gang, you will feel intimidated depending on how their behavior are in the street. You will feel intimidated wanting to go past them because you don't know what they can do. I remember back in the day, I say back in the day, like I'm one ancient person, but well, when I was growing up in the 90s, I'm not saying that my generation were saints, but we know that if the teacher or any adult was to say, I'm going to call your parent, that was all they needed to do. The fear of God was immediately deposited within us, and that was it. Because I remember, and when I was in secondary school, parents' evening, one of the parents' evening, my mom came, and my report that particular parent evening was not good. It wasn't bad, but it was not good because they had high expectations. So it wasn't good. Oh my God, what did my mom not do to me that she did not care that we were still in school? So you can imagine parents evening with your other friends as well. This woman did not care that we were still in school. She showed me that, you know what, we may be living in the UK, but I am an African woman. So for all of you there who have African mothers, you fully understand what I'm saying. She said, I'm an African woman. I'm not going to tolerate this nonsense from you. And she made it very clear. She didn't just say it. She used the hand as well. So yes, I was like, oh my God, if the ground could open up now and swallow me, that would be the best thing that could possibly happen to me. But it didn't. I'm here. So because of that, because as a result of that, she told the teachers that if she misbehaves for any reason, give me a call. And so that was enough to put me in the straight and narrow for a little while, because obviously not long after that I got pregnant. I remember I was in class one day, and that particular teacher was my, I think it was the IT teacher. It's been a long time. It's almost 20 years since I left secondary school. I'm amazed. I'm like, wow, where's the time gone? Anyways, I think it was my IT teacher, not science. I think it was the IT teacher. And I don't know what was then. I think I was talking or trying to talk back. And he just looked at me and he was like, Magdalene, should I give your mom a call? In front of everybody. I literally just shrank in the chair. That was it. I didn't do anything else again. I just shrank in the chair and immediately corrected myself. And that was all he needed to do. So today's topic now, juvenile delinquency, that is beyond parental control. What is happening? Who is to blame, or is there anybody to blame in this case? Is it the parents that will blame? Is it the young people that will blame? Is it the media that will blame? Who is to blame? Or is there anybody to blame? For me, this is my personal opinion. People may differ, but my personal opinion is that I think everybody and thing I've said right now are to blame. The parents have their own responsibility. The young person has his or her own responsibility. And society has their own responsibility as well. When I talk about parents, talking about my particular instance with me whilst in school. If my mom and my parents did not put their foot down, I would have easily gone down a different route because I wanted to fit in with everybody else. So this was what they did. This is what they knew to do, because they were like, we didn't bring you to this UK for you to misbehave. You must come in. We brought you here for greener pastures. So you must live to that high expectations that we have for you. So they were extra strict. But this is what they knew. And this is how they knew to handle the situation. And that's what they did. And as a result of doing that, it kept me down off the route of the criminal activities, me off the route of falling pregnant in school. So that's in that angle. For me, I believe that parents have a place to have a massive place to play, because the parent is they're the first role models to the children. They're the first role models because the children learn from home first and foremost. They learn what they see, what the parents are saying and doing. So it's not a case of do what I say and not do what I do. Simple example: when somebody calls to speak to mom or dad, and then mom or dad is in the house, okay, and tells the child, say to them, I'm not here. So what are you telling that child? You're training that child how to lie because of the fact you're telling the child, say to them, I'm not here. So a child now may go two ways. Some of them may say, oh, mommy says I should tell you that I'm not here. Sometimes it may happen that way. Or they may, because they've been hearing it for so long, they say, oh, mommy's not here. So in my case now, if there's a call that comes through and I'm not able, it's not because I don't want to speak to them, I'm not able to speak at that particular time, and the children pick up either my mobile phone or the landline phone, I just say, you know what, tell them that I'm busy, I will call them back. To say, I will call you back. So at a convenient time for me, I will then call you back, instead of lying to the child, because you are training that child how to lie. And those are just a simple example. So because as a parent, you must show a better example to your children. So it's not just about do what I say, it's about do what I say and do what I do as well. That's the first thing. For the young person as well, you can't use that excuse that, when I'm out there, I'm with my friends, I want to fit in with my friends. We understand. I fully understand peer pressure. I truly understand peer pressure from my time and obviously working with young people now. So I fully understand peer pressure, the whole thing that surrounds peer pressure. But as a young person, we must understand, we must have enough substance within us that is coming from home to understand that we are individuals. And we can't just be following friends. So I tell my children this all the time. So if your friends are going to jump off a cliff, are you going to jump off a cliff as well? They look at me and like, no. I'm like, okay, so if you're not going to do that, why do we need to follow the friends and do what they do when you know deep down inside it's wrong? A child that is well trained from home will know that, you know what, actually doing this and doing that is wrong. So coming back to my personal example, wanting to misbehave in school, it's not because I did not know it was wrong, it was because of the fact I wanted to do what everybody else was doing. I was trying my luck, but then all the teachers had to say to me was like, who will call your parent? And once they said that, that brought me back to earth, because I think I was beginning to lose my senses at that time, but it brought me back immediately. So this boils back down to parents again, giving enough substance at home. This is my opinion. So please, I would love to hear from everybody else, parents, aunties, uncles, experts out there, because one of the questions I ask are like, what are the experts saying? Because we come up with different terminologies that we give to the children and class them with this obsessive compulsion, I think, what's it called? Obsessive compulsory disorder, OCD. I think it's just skipping my head right now. We come up with these different terminologies. I'm not saying, believe you me, I'm not saying they are not valid points and everything. I'm not saying that they're not real. What I'm saying is that, are we sometimes hiding terminologies? That's a question. Are we sometimes hiding behind this? Because from what I've read, being violent, depressed, abusing drugs. Where does a child go from being a child, being innocent, being free, living life without any form of worries or cares, all of a sudden begins to take so substance in because they feel that they can't cope on a day-to-day basis anymore. I've not even begun to scratch the surface of this. And my time is gone already. I've just looked at the time and I was like, wow, time is gone. There's so much to talk about, but I want to continue this conversation off air because I'm thankful to all my listeners out there. I'm saying thank you so much to those of you who are commenting. There's so many comments coming in off air, and it's so encouraging. Please do continue. Please do continue, because these are topics that we need to talk about. We really, really need to talk about. We can't shy away from them and really tackle them. I may or may not continue with the same topic next week. The seed has been sown. Let's continue the conversation. But quickly, before I go, like I spoke about last week, I've got an event coming up, and this is for the women. For women out there, single mothers, working mothers, married mothers, coupled mothers, women in general. It's called Shine Through Your Art. What's your story? We're going to be talking about your story. What's your story? What's your experiences being in life? And we're going to talk about how to package it to be able to enable you to build your self-esteem, build your confidence, and even build a business from it. And this is taking place on the 3rd of June, 2017. It's taking place in Brixton. You will find more information in my website. It's www.magdaleneadenike.com. It's in the link there. And also, I've got another wonderful event coming up. This is a friend's event. It's called Purpose Walk. It's taking place on the 20th of May. It's another fantastic event, as the name implies, for people who, this is not just a women's group, it's for people who are ready to walk purposefully. So it's called Purpose Walk, taking place on the 20th of May. It's taking place again here in London at Canary Wharf. You can find further information on www.purposewalk.com. Until next time, please continue this conversation, because we need to help our young people. There's too many of them within the justice system, and we need to get them out of there, because it's our leaders of tomorrow. Juvenile delinquency that is beyond parental control. Parents need help. We need to help. We need to help. We need to join hands together. This has been a very emotional topic for me, because I can't comprehend it. I can imagine the pain that parents are going through. But until next time, you have a great day. This is Magdalene Adenike presenting Barefoot Conversations. Bye for now.